The Blind Tony Story. Book 3, Chapter 1. The game of Monopoly was designed based on the layout and socio-economic structure of the Atlantic City streets. But there are streets that don't even show up on a Monopoly board that are very much a part of Atlantic City. Sewell Avenue was one of those streets. In fact, the whole inlet section was missing from the game of Monopoly, with the exception of Baltic and Mediterranean avenues, as well as a few others. We lived at 221 Sewell Avenue, which was in the inlet section, and it was a very, very beautiful place that I will always remember with much
Portrait.
I attended the Madison Avenue School from the 3rd through the 5th grades, and I had many, many, many friends. The inlet section was primarily black, but there were white families strategically located and interspersed throughout the entire area. Primarily, they lived on Main Street and Parkside Avenues. Now, both of these locations had waterfront views, and as a result, they had a much higher real estate value. But as time went on, the whites moved out, the blacks moved in, and the property values went down. Still, it was a very beautiful place, and it was ripe for adventure everywhere. As I stated earlier, I attended the Madison Avenue Grade School, which was located right between Baltic and Mediterranean avenues. And if you know anything about the game of Monopoly, then you know that nothing in the game has a lower value monetarily than Baltic and Mediterranean avenues. Now, if you allow this subconscious message of less thanness to be perceived as the truth, then you will be severely limited. In reality, one must take the worst and make the best out of it. Just like the Beatles sang, take a sad song and make it better. And that's exactly what I did. There were 3 people who dominated the academic arena at Madison Avenue School, and I was always one of them. The other 2 were Janice and Patricia. Janice was very beautiful and also very intelligent, and I found myself very much attracted to her. But at the same time, she had a way of always making me feel inferior. Patricia, on the other hand, did not appeal to me physically, but she did possess a soft-spoken, quiet personality that made her very easy to talk to. It was always a heated battle between the 3 of us academically, but I never came in fourth. I always received E's in every subject, every quarter, every year, and E stood for excellent. I also had a crush on my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Avant, who said I was very gifted. I still can remember the very first poem I ever wrote, at least most of it anyway, which I gave and dedicated to her. It went like this. I wish that I had wings to fly above the clouds high in the sky, and be so graceful on the wing with all the day to laugh and sing. I'd build my nest high in the trees and play with wasps and honeybees. I don't remember any more of it, but I can still identify with that sentiment. In fact, I still feel that way even today. Amazing how after all of those years I can still remember the words to that poem. They are deeply etched into my being. Anyway, academically, I always did quite well. I was captain of the safety patrol, and I liked that a lot. I was also very physically active. I played wall ball, tumbled. I loved to play football, baseball, dodgeball, and basically anything physical that was challenging. In fact, I still have a chipped tooth that got cracked while I was playing in the schoolyard at Madison Avenue School. That tooth never fell out, and it is still intact at the writing of these words, just cracked. Because of my academic prowess, I became known to my peers as the community scientist, Brainiac, Thelonious Oglethorpe. But if they had a question or a dispute about something, I was considered to be the most reliable source of accurate, unbiased data. And I took great pride in this form of recognition and respect, as it beat no recognition and respect at all. I spent a lot of my time reading books, all kinds of books. Books were an unlimited source of information, and one could never tell when or how that information would come in handy or prove to be valuable. But it usually always eventually did. Because I became known for my brain power, I went out of my way to gain respect for my physical prowess as well. But I didn't have that killer instinct. In fact, I had a kind, loving spirit due to my father's overbearing influence and Christianity, and the need to be more Christ-like, even to the extent of turning the other cheek when wronged. But this type of behavior and attitude had no place in the survival skills necessary on the streets of Atlantic City, New Jersey, especially in the inlet section, which contained the poorest of the poor, economically, spiritually, emotionally, socially, and mentally. In order to gain the respect of my peers, I learned to be twice as cruel and unflinching when it came to acts of cruelty and insanity, like setting small animals on fire, beating up and robbing people, and watching and condoning rapes. I was slowly but surely becoming that same little boy who had thrown my tricycle through the coal bin window. I was there physically, and I was a willing, active participant. But part of me, in fact, the deepest and most important part of me, knew that it was wrong, and I didn't like it or understand it. But my need for acceptance overrode my sense of right and wrong. And that was a problem I would struggle with for many, many years to come.